Hello, welcome to Great Scott's Art Studio. I appreciate you guys checking out my video on how to color or how I color. Be going to describe a little bit of the process that I go through. I've had some comments and I've had some messages sent about how I get the look I've gotten on this particular caricature. I've already done the inks, as you can see, and this is a caricature of Lou Ferrigno, the magnificent Hercules. Of course, he's more known for his role as the Incredible Hulk, and I believe that series started in late 70s, ended in the 80s. So all of us 80s kids, we really grew up watching the Incredible Hulk. And of course, the reruns ran while they're still running to this day. You see here, I'm finishing up my flats, filling in all the holes, because I'm going to be doing some bucket fill, as you can see. Very simple, straightforward process here, nothing fancy. I'm using the XP Pen Pro Clip Studio paint, all stock brushes and pens and markers, nothing, no downloaded fancy tools or anything of that nature. Again, appreciate everyone checking this out. Like I said, I've had some interest in how I go about my process, what my tricks are, what my technique is. I've got a background in airbrush, and airbrushed back in the late 90s, early 2000s, and I've always really loved airbrush art. Of course, being an 80s kid, was real popular back in the 80s and 90s. Airbrush was all the rage, and I was all in on it. I was a pretty good airbrush guy. I used to work with the Pesce guns, and it's kind of a, I wouldn't say top of the line, best of the best, but it's definitely a good gun back in the day. It was a workhorse, if you will, tool, and got a lot of cool jobs out of that gun, and but we're in the digital world now, and we're airbrushing digitally, much cleaner, much safer for your lungs. I don't think airbrush is that dangerous and all, but right now I'm just zooming in and out. I only got a 27-inch monitor that I work off of, so I zoom in and out quite a bit. As you'll see, I'm filling in all the gaps and got my flats. I like to use, if a person has dark hair, I kind of use like a midnight blue just to get some definition, some density, texture, if you will, on their hair. Of course, Lou, known for his massive traps and delts, and he's got that dark black hair, and we're gonna touch him up here and give him some it's a cool little technique I do there on the eyes. I'll fill you guys in on that. Is just I put a little base color with the blue, and then a little bit darker blue, and then I go up and I hit the airbrush tool, and I hit the glow feature, and the glow will give you kind of like a nice ring around the eye there. So kind of a cool little technique that I just picked up with trial and error. Like I said, guys, there's no magic technique here. A lot of it is trial and error. It's depending on what program you're familiar with or good with. I'm sure that other people do it differently. This is how I do it. Keep it as minimal as possible. I'm using markers here. I'm playing with the opacity, pulling the opacity back to get a little bit of bleed through, to add a little bit of shading on the bottom of the hair and the beard. So really the only two tools I'm using, I believe, is the marker, the marker pen and the airbrush gun. I don't use any special tools for this one at all. Pretty simple, straightforward process. getting the flats all done, getting the colors all done, so I can use my airbrush gun for all the shading and highlighting. But you got to get all the nooks and crannies took care of before you can do all that. You know, I mean, one of the things that I highly recommend people do if you're doing digital art is have fun, play with it, experiment, watch videos. I've watched tons of videos. I know there's a lot of videos where people they use multiple settings, multiple tools, and I'm a minimalist. I kind of know what look I'm going for, and once I get that, I kind of stick with it. You can see here I'm going back and forth between the opacity, the density, and the hardness of the airbrush features. I don't do a whole lot of other than that. You know, when you have the airbrush feature, you have the hardness and brush density, and that's pretty much back and forth on those two features. Like I said, only a 27-inch monitor, so I zoom in and out a lot. I like to stand up and get a farther perspective sometimes of my work. That way I'm keeping everything uniformed and looking good. And this was a really fun pick. Like I said, I'm a huge Lou Ferrigno fan, known for his massive physique, especially in this time frame in the mid 80s, like 83, 84, when he was doing these Hercules movies. I think he did 2 back to back, and many bodybuilders have went on record to say that if he had competed in the Mr. Olympia contest at this time, he would have probably won multiple championships. He was just a absolute beast. So all you bodybuilding fans, all you younger bodybuilding fans that don't really aren't familiar with Lou, go watch this movie. It's a little on the cheesy side, but it's a fantastic film. Very kid friendly. My children have watched it a bunch of times. I've watched it dozens and dozens of times myself. Just absolutely love it. Of course, like I said, I'm a huge Lou Ferrigno fan. I actually did a airbrush t-shirt for him years ago at a Comic-Con, and he liked it and everything and signed. I did 2 of them. I did one for him, one for me. He signed it, and I had it professionally framed. I've got a really cool custom mat I made for it, and turned out real nice. All right, we're getting into the meat of the matter, if you will. Here we're airbrushing some shadows and shading and adding some density to the muscles. Here we're just like I said, I'm taking my time. This one here took a little bit longer than normal. Normally I can color something like this pretty solid in about 35-45 minutes. I think this one took me about an hour. I believe I had a phone call halfway through this. It kind of slowed me down a little bit, but normally I could it take me about 45 minutes to an hour to ink it, 45 minutes to an hour to color it. So 2 hours tops for something like this. And then if you was to add a background or some lettering, different things like that, maybe add another 45 minutes to an hour. So just all depends on what people want as far as extra features and things like that. But so, yeah, I mean, I try to please the customer as much as possible whenever I'm doing commissions. But yeah, you guys feel free to ask questions, and I'll do my best to get back and answer you guys as I can. Working on the picking me a color here for the leather. He had this cool leather tights that he wore, and the leather straps, wrist straps. And the dude was just absolutely muscular in this, man. He had just ripples of muscle in this, and was in phenomenal shape for this movie. I think I'm doing, just going back and forth between actual airbrushing and markers. I don't believe I used any paintbrush on this at all, and so just taking my time, having fun with it. And guys, if you can't have fun drawing pictures, man, then what are you doing it for? I mean, it's always cool to create art. Being a big comic book guy and a cartoon guy, I love doing caricatures and cartoon, and I love doing airbrush coloring on stuff like that. I just think it pops. Like I said, I've had several people comment and ask and compliment my style, if you will. And I don't really have a style. Like I said, it's pretty simple. I don't overdo it with lots of colors here. Just highlights, a little bit darker skin tone. I'll add a little bit of pink, of course, for the lips and maybe the cheeks, and I think I add a little bit of maybe some blue shading under his eyelids, because Lou tends to have a little bit of that look around the eyes. So I believe when I come up here and do the face now, you'll see I'm kind of filling all that in around the eyelids there. Taking care of business. And it's come along pretty nicely. Lou was fun to do. Nice guy. Like I said, I've met him several times now, actually, at a different... I met him at a monster show one time, and it was really kind of crazy that he was even there. My oldest son, drugged me to a monster show. I'm not really into monsters, but he kind of likes them, so I said, sure, I'll go. And lo and behold, Lou Ferrigno was there, but that show was pretty cool. I mean, it's had Peter Criss from Kiss was at one of them, Elvira, so very cool. But yeah, guys, I'm just taking my time on this, knocking it out. You can see I'm going back and forth between the airbrush. I'm not using the soft feature. There is a soft feature on this airbrush gun, and I have used that before, and I do like it. But you can get the same effect just by pulling back your density and your hardness. There's also a blending tool to help, like if you had a line that was a little too hard, you can come back and just kind of blend it in. Or if you needed to shade in an area that you had too much paint on, you can just kind of smear that, almost like you would if you were, I don't know if you've done chalks before, but anybody out there that's done chalks, you can take their finger and kind of smear things in and out and clear them up and tweak it a little bit. I don't even know if I used the blending tool. If I did, I didn't use it very much. Like I said, I'm pretty comfortable going back and forth between my hardness and softness or intensity on the airbrush tool. There is a lock feature on this program. You can lock your settings in. I leave mine open normally and just try to remember what I've done and go back and forth. But looks like we got it all finished up here. I've added the skin tones. I'm gonna add a few highlights here. It looks like, I think I remember coming back. Actually, on this piece here, I did come back the next day and did like another 10 or 15 minutes of just minor touch-up stuff on it. But hey, we're never done with our stuff. If you leave it in front of me, I'll continue to do on it. But there he is, the magnificent Lou Ferrigno. Appreciate you guys stopping by. Hope to hear from you soon.